You're listening to Shack Together. Today we're joined by Donovan Erskine, who you may know from Shacknews.com, a wonderful news editor. We're glad to have him. Today we celebrate Pokémon, and who better to have than Donovan? I'm going to test his knowledge in a new segment after we check in with the crew and what they've been playing. After that new segment, which is very fun, and you'll be sorry if you miss, we'll dive into the latest stories of the week, including, you guessed it, the Skull and Bones review, courtesy Shack News, Apple's announcement that they're going to cancel their electric car in order to refocus on generative AI. Kill me. Nintendo is, of course, suing the creators of Switch emulator Yuzu. And, of course, we round out the show with a little more Pokemon talk, thanks to our expert, Donovan. All this and more on today's show. Thanks for listening. Here we go.
Whoa.
Wait.
Oh, hello?
Oh
Don't you have a meeting?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yes.
What a strange entrance. We're currently recording.
Oh,
And,
are you really?
We're in the cold open part. Donovan and I were just shitting on Skull and Bones. I felt like that was good cold open material, Joe.
Oh, I'm sorry.
would you say that Donovan got skull and boned?
Oh, that's good.
And could that be like going forward? Could that just be like the shorthand for had to review a
Like
lousy
getting
game?
a crappy review. Yeah, I could see
All
that.
right, I'm leaving. Because I came in and I heard skull and boned.
Yeah. Have
And,
you not been paying attention to the latest super quadruple A release from Ubisoft?
I've not. I did see that it was poorly received. So
They literally called it a quadruple A game.
what's the fourth A stand for? Should we go there?
That's it.
I think it's just like, please don't make me play this game.
Yeah.
I think that's what the 4 A's are for. Donovan, am I right?
Let's go with it. I doubt Eves had anything in mind when he said that.
It's a triple A with a GH at the end. Og.
Yeah, like Charlie Brown.
Yeah. Og.
Yeah. There you go.
That's cold open material. That's why I'm here.
Hold open. Okay, kick off that intro.
You're listening to Shack Together, a Shack News video game podcast where if you're not Donovan, you're not this week's guest. I'm your host, Asif Khan, and I'm joined by my co-host, John Benyamine, today.
Hello.
Our producer, Joe Stasio, and a news editor at Shack News, and host of Pop Goes the Culture on our Twitch live stream, Donovan Erskine.
Hey.
Welcome back to the podcast, the Shack News Extended Podcast Universe. I think we call it the SIPU, right? Isn't that what all the kids are calling it?
Yeah, all the kids have so far called it that, yeah.
Also, just real quick before we get into what we've been playing, we are, according to podstatus.com, who emailed me a few weeks ago, we're the number 70 or higher podcast for video gaming in Canada. So shout out to our Canadian listeners.
Yeah, Canada.
We're climbing up the ranks in Canada rapidly. We're looking at us in Canada, like our podcast in Canada is basically the NVIDIA chart right now. We're just going to the moon. So shout out to all of our Canadian listeners.
To the
Wow.
Canadian moon.
Shack together, more like poutine together, right, guys?
Dude, love poutine. That is like, I don't know. You can't eat that often, but delicious.
Delicious.
Delicious. So Donovan, what have
Yes.
you been playing? What have you been playing on the video game front?
Well, for work, I just wrapped up playing Skull and Bones. That was a decent amount of my time. Outside of that, I have been playing not much Marvel Snap. Actually, I kind of fell off that game this season, but I've been playing some Honkai Star Rail. I got into that over winter break, so that's been one of my guilty pleasures recently. Still dabbling in Fortnite every now and then.
So a little Fortnite. Are you
Yeah.
playing like the Fortnite games? Like, are you playing Rocket Racing or Lego Fortnite, or are you just playing proper Fortnite?
No, I fell off of those pretty hard. I think they were fun, like gimmicks. Like they were cool ways to, I guess, reinvent that game. But I don't get too much joy out of them. I think that Fortnite Festival, the Rock Band spin-off that they had, Harmonic Spill, is actually pretty fun. I've played that more than the other ones, just because they have a good like rotation of licensed music that they bring in. You can try for free. I think it's every 2 weeks they cycle stuff in and out. I know they just announced a big Lady Gaga collab. Yeah. I think that I forget which it might be the folks that make the BFG controller
Oh,
are also
Victrix?
Yeah, I think Victrix may have announced that they are working on like a guitar, like third-party controller for it. So it's getting some decent love.
So when you play Fortnite, are you playing build or no build?
Oh, build for sure. Unless I'm playing with my friends. All my friends, they're strictly no build people. Which if that gets them on the game, then I'll play no build. But I'm a loyalist to that original model. I just think the building is why the game is interesting. I don't think it's very fun or interesting when you take that mechanic out of it. Despite the fact that I've been passed several times by the people that keep up with that game.
Mm-hmm. Well, interesting. Yeah, I just I was curious because you seem to kind of Fortnite's been pretty sticky for you. Like you keep coming back to that game, so it's like your friend group game that you guys just play.
Yeah, at this point, if I want to play a shooter, it's really my best option. I got into Valorant for a bit when that was the new hotness. Tactical shooters, though, Valorant, CS2 now, I just can't. I cannot play them in my leisure time. They are not leisure games.
No, they take too much time.
Too much time, too much effort. It's just there's no fun to be had for me playing those games.
They're kind of boring. Yeah, no, I'm with you on that. And there's no like
COD wagon, so
there's no good Halo game to like jump into right now. Like that would be your game. That would totally be the game you're playing.
I played a few matches of Infinite this month, a few weeks ago. I said screw it. I fired it up, played for about 45 minutes. And I just had my fill. I just got right off of it. I was like, this just does not capture me like it used to. I don't know if that's a good game.
Did Infinite ever capture you, or are you talking about the series? Like early on with Infinite, were you down, or how'd that go?
Oh yeah, I was super into Halo Infinite when that game first came out. That December that it was out, I was playing it a bunch. I'm sure I'm on record in Slack conversations and on social media defending that game vehemently. I put like 150 hours into it, completed battle pass challenges. Well, it was completely bare bones of content to actually enjoy playing like the same 5 game modes over and over again.
You got tired of it? Like it was just the same thing, so you got tired?
Yeah, I think I just burned myself out on it, and the fact that the offerings were already slim kind of accelerated that.
It didn't feel rewarding.
No, there's nothing to get in that game.
After 150 hours too, right? Like it takes there's a special type of game that can reward players into those hundreds of hours, and Halo Infinite was not that.
Yeah, but some of the other Halos were.
I know.
Yeah, I think that's the point Donovan's making here is like there's some of the levels that they chose to make, some of the playlists that they had at launch weren't great. I think like about a month or two into the game's existence, the online multiplayer game was maybe at its best. But then they started nerfing guns. I don't know if you remember, Donovan, when they nerfed the Mangler, but like that was it for me. That was like, okay, you took the one gun I was having fun with and you nerfed it.
Yeah.
It was like a lot of decisions like that, John, just started to pile up. And I was like, okay, so you took what I was having fun with and you're making it less fun. Not to mention that the servers were never really that great. The tick rate, like the bullet hit detection, was not ever good, even compared to other Halos. So I think there were problems that people ignored in that like launch month haze that like 3 months in, you just kind of got tired of. But early on, like the locomotion, I thought was awesome. I liked the variety of guns that they did give you. And I actually enjoyed the single player, but I think that's what happened to a lot of people. I was very similar path as you, Donovan, where like I went into Infinite being like, I'm kind of worried. Then I was like, oh, I'm actually enjoying myself. And then, I fell off too, almost at the exact same time. And our whole staff was playing it for a while. We had like a stream show was born out of it. Basically, we called it big team building. And then the big team kind of dwindled to 4 people who were still playing it, and then it was dead. So now we play other games in big team building. But I wish it was better. But yeah, I guess in the interim, you're just going to be playing Fortnite forever.
Yeah, that's the limbo I'm stuck in.
So any other games you want to mention, or?
I'd say those are the main ones I'm playing right now. I'm going to get into FF7 probably this weekend. Not a big Final Fantasy person, but I'll do my due diligence.
What platform are you playing Honkai Star Rail on?
Oh, mainly my PC. It's definitely a mobile game, but I prefer to play it on my computer just because I like when my phone doesn't feel like it's gonna burn my fingers.
Nice.
Yeah.
Cool.
But having a good time with that. I didn't expect that game to be such a densely detailed RPG. Obviously it's the Genshin dev, so I was like, I know this is going to be some gotcha nonsense, but I jumped in with a friend over a break, and I was like, this is a surprisingly competent JRPG inspired game, very Final Fantasy inspired in a lot of its design, which I've enjoyed quite a bit.
Awesome. So John, I'm guessing you've been just deep in your Apple Vision Pro, trying out all the latest apps in the future of computing, right? What have you been playing?
You know it. I'm playing Apple Vision Pro Mario 64. No, I've returned my Apple Vision Pro.
What? Okay, wait. Wait, it was the future of computing 3 episodes ago. What happened?
Well, time happened. It was the future, and then it became the past.
Here's my theory. Do you want to hear my theory?
Okay, tell me what happened. Yeah.
You saw Mark Zuckerberg's video review.
Well, I mean...
You did, didn't you?
I don't know how he's kind of...
Totally
he's not a charming dude.
He's not charming. He's not even human.
I'm not saying he's charming. I'm saying he's not a charming dude. That said...
It was that video, wasn't it?
That said, I was charmed.
I'll tell you, a little bit of charm. No, he made good points. And then I quickly packed up. I looked at the time, and it was 7:58. I had 2 minutes to get to the Apple Store. No, I wanted to try it. I found myself treating it like the MetaQuest 3, which is a novelty, to me. And I wasn't using it as much. Also, movies are like a communal thing, I think, for me. So it's tough for me to like lock in for 3 hours with this headset and just like tell the wife and kids, hey, I'll see you later, Daddy's here, but not here, and the kids are all sad. Anyway, I returned it.
So you're not playing all the thousands of apps that are on Vision Pro?
The thousands of apps?
Yeah, there's thousands.
Yeah, no, I'm not playing this.
They
7
are all
apps
so bad. There's so many bad.
Not a great showing. So Apple Vision Pro, that's not a bust. I actually look forward to like Rev 2, Rev 3, Rev 4. I do believe like spatial computing. I do believe in it, just not to the point of 3500 this early on. So there you go.
You know what I don't remember, John?
What's that?
I don't remember you returning your iPhone when you got it.
Well, that's a very different proposition, isn't it?
I'm just saying.
To be fair.
Go back and listen to episode 1 of this podcast. It was like Steve Jobs reappeared with a halo around him and it was like, here is this headset. It is the future of computing.
Well, it is. Both can be correct. Both can be correct.
So. I don't think it's possible. It's not possible. It's not possible. It can't be the future. You wouldn't have returned it if it was the future of computing.
Yeah, yet here we are. And I returned it, and I still think it's the future of computing.
I disagree. And I didn't return it. That's the funniest part here. I was Mr. Negative on that podcast, and I'm the one who's like, this is pretty useful. I'm going to keep it.
I think I took a pretty pragmatic approach. That's my word of the month, pragmatism. Like, I think I've taken... I took a very level-headed approach. I wasn't being overly... I didn't think you were overly negative, by the way. I thought you were pretty real.
I'm just being real.
I thought I was pretty real, too. And I think I still continue to be real by saying, like, I do think it's the future of computing. I don't see my kids, like, not adopting that kind of technology in their regular day-to-day. I just think, like, what Joe and I talked about a month prior to the release, I think this might be the future of it. We are 5 years away from like a form factor. I think, Joe, you said 10 years away. However many years away, the form factor is an issue. And yeah, that's it. I mean, I'd be happier with a 3500.
I don't know. Yeah, I'm sure you can buy a lot of things with $3,500.
That's what I'm saying. It's not a
well,
great economy where
that's like food.
3,500 for
That's like food for months. Like,
that's food for like the whole maybe days, weeks.
You know what I'm saying?
2.
That's like a lot of. That's a living expense that you can just.
It is a living expense. That is proper. So I think just it was too early for me, too expensive. Lovely, like gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous. I don't mean the hardware, industrial hardware. It's
this thing's fugly as hell, man.
No. The hardware is going to change, like But from a software perspective, from like an experience perspective, no, this is awesome. If you don't think it's the future, I'd be surprised. I am surprised actually, because like, what is the future always going to be? Glass screens encased in metal, and like, what is it? What,
the
holograms?
Future are these pads that you put on your table and they shoot holograms up in the air. That's the future. And then you're gonna wear some kind of device that you have a human interface to interact with holograms. This is like, we can't make holograms. Here's the closest facsimile we have. But I think, to your point about form factor, and we can move on, but I think the biggest design thing that I don't think's been answered with Vision Pro is full occlusion versus translucent displays, right? Where like you've seen Magic Leap in the past, right? Those are translucent displays that have things overlaying on them with an even worse field of view than Vision Pro. But it wasn't as jarring to look through a pass-through camera when you're looking at the real world. I think Apple's done a very good job at pass-through, but I still think that a translucent display is probably going to lead to a better user experience than this full occlusive.
I think you're right. I think that's what I mean by, like, the movie making, the movie viewing experience in this thing. It's kind of bar none, I mean, this is amazing, like to watch a movie in this thing. It's really, it is magic. And I hate them using that word because that's like aping Steve Jobs. And I don't know, that's just kind of hokey. But that's the word for like watching, Avatar and what was it? High frame rate HFS and 3D and all that. Never seen anything like that. The immersiveness is definitely there, even if it's not that kind of like fancy high tech movie. But you are cut off from the world, and I think I like the AI stuff or the computing that like blends into that real world. I think Apple is getting there. I think they're going there. They're just not there yet. So I think you're right. Like translucent displays are going to really help. Something akin to, look, every Apple store looks like a Lens Crafters. Like for a reason, right? It's a watch store now. It's going to be a glasses store. It's just we're probably 5, 6, 7 years away from that computing. Maybe it'll never get there. But
does Apple get to keep your retinal scan?
Yeah, I've licensed it to them for
security.
Oh, nice.
Security.
Very cool.
Yeah,
I was just curious. I don't know what they're, because that's how you unlock the thing, or at least like how you do Apple Pay through it and stuff. It's weird. It's like Face ID, but for your eyes.
It's no. I funny enough, my wife is a saint because I had to run a different errand, and I was like, oh my god, it's Apple Vision Pro return day. She's like, oh, you know what? I got some time. I'm going to the mall. I'll return it. I'm like, oh, okay. So she goes to the Apple thing, gives it to the guy, and he's like, oh, his account is still there. I guess I forgot to reset it or whatever. And, there's a 4-digit passcode. And so he puts on the headset, and for whatever reason, he wasn't trained up on it or something. He had to run to the other side of the store and like physically hit the buttons to like unlock the headset. He wasn't able to like do it. I don't blame him. So it's this weird scene of my wife giving this guy this $3,500 headset, and this guy like running to the back of the store and like doing this fake high-fiving almost to make these numbers happen. Mm-hmm. And then he reset it, and that was it. I got the money back. But I just thought that was interesting. Like what a rigmarole just to return something.
Yeah. Now I'm a bit of an early adopter and a collector of random tech, and I I think this is a fascinating device that should live in my collection forever, even if I don't think it's great.
It's
I'm
like
still
an
reviewing
Ouija.
it though. Like in my opinion, I haven't had enough time to review it. I'm still looking at software experiences. Like I'm still letting them patch things that were really bad early on, but like they're getting better.
Yeah.
Because I agree that a hands-free computer is a new form factor, and we should celebrate these things being like adopted. So yeah,
Yeah.
I was just shocked to hear you returned it, but
Yeah. No, it's if
I
if it
understand
weren't
why.
yeah, like we're not you know it's not week to week over here, thank God, but 3500, that's that's a substantial amount to for a movie viewing device that you might use once every couple weeks. That's how it was looking. So instead, what I've been playing, and I know this has gone a little bit over when it comes to Apple, but it's Like a Dragon. Still Like a Dragon. I'm 90 hours in. 90.
That's a good chunk of video game right there.
It is on the weekend. I'm playing at night. I'm playing. I'm putting the NBA game, whatever game is on my phone, and I'm with Kasuga in Hawaii. I'm with Kiryu in Japan, and
Spoilers, huh?
Oh, am I? Wait.
I don't think that's
No, but
spoiler.
that's
a
early on.
Yakuza game in Japan. Spoilers.
No, but that's how it's like. It is like a couple different storylines and stuff. No spoilers there, but redact
John,
now.
Is this an improvement over the last game for you?
Over the last game being the last Like a Dragon game?
Yeah, number 7.
I wouldn't say it's an improvement because I still have to play through the end of the game. So now I'm just like, okay, I've been as comprehensive as I think I'm going to be. I'm basically maxed out, like with different stats. I've been maxed out for a bit, so I just got to go beeline it, through the main story. And I remember with Like a Dragon, the first one, the previous game, there were moments, and I'm pretty new to the series, but there were moments where I'm like, oh shit, that is badass. Like, I don't want to do spoilers here either, but there's a moment where there's like a team up that happens later on, towards the end of the last game. And it's just like this epic sort of confrontation starts to happen. And I'm like, oh shit, this is like, I almost got chills, right? And the story beats of, some of the tearful stuff that happens, some of the really heartrending stuff, it crescendos really nicely. So there've been moments in this game that have done that. I will say, like, there are a couple moments where I'm like, oh my gosh, that is special. That is nice. I just need to finish the game. And there's a testament to this. I'll say this. My wife, she tends to have her Kindle, and I'll play a game, and the kids will, usually as a responsible parent, they're doing their homework all the time. Of course, they're not on iPads, doing
they're reading
whatever.
books.
Yeah, of course, just mathematics and so
algebra.
Yeah. But she'll take a break every now and again, and when there's a story beat, it's sometimes 5-10 minutes of cutscenes or whatever. And in the last one, there was some stuff that happened where she's like, you know what? Let me know when this starts getting to the end, this particular storyline. Like, let me know, because I'm kind of invested. And I'm like, that's kind of crazy, because she is not a gamer at all, almost. So it's a testament to the storyline, and I think it's a very strong game. So I'm having a lot of fun with it.
It's not that Jill isn't a gamer. I think she has very particular tastes and not enough time to waste.
I think that's fair. And she'd rather spend her time, honestly, reading books, which is great. I aspire to read one book this year. She's at like
cool.
20, so, to each their own. But I thought that, somebody who really enjoys a good story, and it is, again, it's still hokey, it's still a little soapy.
Yeah.
But man, oh man,
it's a good story.
There's some really nice moments. Yep.
It's a really good story, and that universe is cool. So like telling a really, I think, emotional story in that universe, like there's this balance of humor and seriousness that they had to nail. But yeah, it's exciting.
No, it's
I'm happy
great.
to hear you're still enjoying that game. Are
Yeah.
you? Did you break free of the Animal Crossing part?
I did.
That's good.
As you know, I'm a completionist. I'm one of them that 100%ed Donkey Kong 64, which I know I remember getting a lot of shit for that because it was like thousands upon thousands of bananas, like
Different color bananas, different
color bananas,
barrels,
and all this.
barrels to switch which monkey you were to pick up those bananas. Oh, I know all about it. DK64.
Yeah, so you get the special ending, and it's the outtakes from Donkey. Anyway, so I'm more of a completionist. So I went through the Animal Crossing part of it. Spent maybe 10 hours as a diversion there. It's cool. I'll say there are some things that I miss from the last game. Like I do miss the business mini game. Maybe the arcade games are not as good. I had to play Spike Out, this friggin' Sega arcade beat 'em up that is just not good. I don't know how well if people love it or something. But holy hell, this is not a good game. Sega Bass Fishing is fine. It's kind of
good.
cheap.
It's not fine.
Good, but it's kind of, I finally caught a big one. So anyway.
Okay, so you're still on Like a Dragon. We're going to tune in the future to hear I think we're going to hear your thoughts on this game, like once you're done, and you're going to be singing its praises because it sounds really good.
Yeah.
Joe, you're not playing anything.
I'm not playing anything, but Asif, what are you playing?
Oh, well, thanks for asking. So I'm going to get to the newer-ish game that I'm playing is Pocket Card Jockey Ride On from Game Freak. It's a port of an Apple Arcade game to Nintendo Switch. It combines solitaire with horse racing because that makes sense. So I mentioned last week that I like random horse games, and Joe was kind of like, "Are you serious, Asif?" And I was serious.
That's quite a thing to say.
One of the things that I highlighted was I love being able to name horses in video games, right? Like Zelda, you get to name your horse, but in Pocket Card Jockey, you also get to name your horses. So here are my first two names for horses: Nugget the horse and Bunghole the horse.
Oh, come on.
Okay, all right. Well, okay.
I like Nugget.
Nugget the horse is pretty great. Bunghole is actually a better horse. That has won several more races. I was just kind of testing the limits of a Game Freak game. Music is outstanding in this game. It's good that you can like pick it up, play it for like 5 minutes, or you can sit there for like an hour trying to progress through it. The game like loop is fun. It just feels different. Like there's different segments of each race. I'm starting to understand how important stamina is to making it to the end of the race. But yeah, I'm really enjoying that game. Still playing it kind of every day.
Would you say that Pocket Card Jockey is your favorite Game Freak game?
I don't want to be mean to the entire Pokemon franchise. So I'll say, I don't know. No, it's not. But it's definitely my favorite random horse game involving solitaire. I'll say that much.
There you go.
And then outside of that, I've been playing that Infinite Craft game a little bit on mobile, where you just take two ideas and you merge them. And I think Donovan, you wrote a guide about how to make lightning in that game.
Yes.
So yeah, that's a free game that's just on the internet. If you just want to check it out, it's on mobile and on desktop browsers. And I love browser games.
Nice.
Have you made any first discoveries yet?
No.
Infinite Craft?
Nah, I'm not that original. I actually enjoyed Grand Pooh Bear did a stream where he's like, I'm gonna discover boobs, I'm gonna discover chocolate. Like he sat out and he had like these 3 words and he streamed for like 4 hours till he got all of them. That's pretty ridiculous. But yeah, that game's cool. Check it out. It's free. And then speaking of free games that are on browsers, I've been playing Bubbletron every day. I think I have the longest streak in the world. It's like 48 or 49 consecutive days played. We had a couple really funny high valuation, low valuations of the day recently. There was a social media analytics telecom conglomerate for building homes. Thought that was pretty funny. It was valued at $127,000. That was like the low of the day. But yeah, Bubbletron, still playing it. And yeah, I'm also checking out our beta build of Shack Pets.
I just visited Bubbletron again. I just built a Web3 Pro Sports League sex robot.
There you go.
What's the valuation? What do you think the valuation is on something like that?
Is it like $1 million, $2 million?
760 million.
Wow. Yeah. Congratulations. This is an irrational market, if you ask me.
Well, that's the sex robot part. That counts
Seriously
for
though, you throw a
799.
sex robot on the end of any business idea, you're gonna get another
That's it. That's
huge
it.
bump.
It does help, right?
That's what I've been saying.
Sex robots, they help. That's for sure. And then last but not least, games I've been playing. I know this will surprise our listeners and the members of this panel. I've been playing F-Zero 99, and no, I have not won. So, John, your prediction has not come true yet. Maybe
Not
you
yet.
meant maybe
Not
next
yet.
week, or is it episodes where you're on the shows? Because then maybe it's next week. Anyway, I did
Yeah.
not won. I've had heartbreaking losses again. First place to 95th place, like things like that are happening. I
Yep.
still think Big Blue is going to be the level I do it on. If not Big Blue, Meat City 3. I'm very close. And like last night, I played it for about an hour. I'm placing somewhere between 15 and 5 consistently in every race. So I'm not bad at the game. It's just I have terrible luck. Shutting out my rivals of the week. I started doing this, John. So I played against Dad, capital D, Dad. I beat him.
Nice.
Also, Mario Shark, all caps, no spaces. And then in one race, I had these 3 names, and I just kind of lost my mind. Pookie, Cowboy Dung, and D's Nuts, all in one race were my rivals.
Nice.
And then last but not least, Maruchan, like the ramen company?
Sure.
Maruchan was
Delicious.
another rival. So those are my F-Zero 99 rivals of the week. I beat all of them except for Maruchan.
I have some Maruchan related story.
Okay.
That sounds weird, but I was at the store and we were going down the aisles, how to get whatever, I forget. And then I'm with Charlotte, and Charlotte sees Maruchan, like we're past the ramen aisle, and she's like, "Oh, Dad, like, can we get ramen, please, please, please?" And I'm like, "No, we have ramen. Like, you're good. Like,
We
don't
have
worry."
ramen at home.
Yeah, we have ramen at home, and that's it. And she's like, "No, but that's Maruchan. I have a sweatshirt that's Maruchan." And I'm like, "Oh, okay. Take 2 ramen." So she went from 0 ramen to 2 ramen because of Maruchan and the sweatshirt that I got her a few months ago. That's
See, I lived off that shit in late
Yeah.
days of high school, early days of college. Like that was my shit. I was more a
No, man.
Maruchan person than a cup noodle person.
we're pretty agnostic though. We're
Yep.
brand agnostic. We'll just take ramen.
That's fair.
But I
Also,
can
like,
see why one is better than the other.
if you watch Uncle Roger YouTube channel, he always advises people to just go to a ramen shop. Get someone else will make it for you. Because it's all
Yeah, but here the ramen shop is like $18 for.
I forgot. Yeah.
We
don't have anything like that here in Canton, so you got to make it yourself. But
Yeah,
nice. We did it. We got through what we've been playing, right? That's everything.
We did it.
Let's move on to the next one.
Let's go. Guys, welcome to Gotta Name 'Em All. I'm about to throw you into the Pokemon grinder. Okay?
Well,
Nice.
This is going to be a little game we're going to play, a little inaugural segment of Gotta Name 'Em All. John's familiar with my podcast games, but
I love these
Donovan,
podcast games.
they're the best. Donovan and Asif, I'll clue you into how this will work. So on this segment, Gotta Name 'Em All, our crew is going to see how well they know their Pokemon games, and here are the rules, and here's how you play. I'm going to read a synopsis of a Pokemon game as published by Game Freak. So this is first party copy I'm reading. I'm going to read it one sentence at a time. At any time, you're going to buzz in by saying your name. So you say Asif, and I will stop reading, even if I'm mid-sentence, and you will try and name the game that corresponds to the synopsis I'm reading.
Ooh.
If you get it right, you get a point. If you get it wrong, you're out for this question or this round. And then the 2 remaining players have a chance, and I'll continue reading from there. First of you to hit 3 points wins this game. I will be tracking over the course of our Shack Together tenure who wins games. So don't think this is just going to evaporate when we're done recording. I will know for the rest of our lives who won
Creepy.
today.
Nice.
Creepy.
I accept the terms of this game.
I'm
Ready.
ready. I don't think I understand, but yes, I'm ready.
I'm going to
Donovan's
read
gonna
a
kick our ass
synopsis.
here.
I'm going to read a synopsis, and
okay,
you're going to
we're
buzz
good.
in and you're going to buzz in.
How do you
when
buzz in though?
You say your name.
You say your name.
Oh, I'm sorry, I missed that.
Yeah. You yell
Sorry.
John.
Okay, John, go ahead.
Yeah.
Okay, here we go. Question number 1. By the way, if I get to the end of these synopsis and nobody knows, I have bonus information like platform and release date we can tap into.
Do we have to let you finish the sentence?
No.
At any
So
time.
we could just interrupt. Can I say Marichan instead of John?
Sure.
Okay.
There we go. In Rhyme City, humans
Donovan.
and Pokemon. Go ahead.
Detective Pikachu.
Point to Donovan.
God damn it. God damn it.
Wow.
He's too fast.
I thought these were actually like Pokemon. Now these are actual. Joe. Okay.
I read the rules.
You did read the rules. I know. I'm going to file a protest. Go ahead.
Okay, here we go.
He's too fast.
I'm going to jump around now and try to stump Donovan. That's my new move. Here we go.
Yeah, for real.
Get set for intense Wii Pokemon fun with Redacted on WiiWare. This action-packed game lets you battle Pokemon like never before.
Donovan, is this Pokemon tournament?
You are out for this round, sir.
Oh,
Asif,
Go ahead.
is this Pokemon Stadium?
You are out for this round, sir. Make your way through exciting stages, fighting lots of Pokemon and competing in a huge battle royale. Up to 3 friends can join you on your all-out adventure. Unleash hundreds of powerful moves to fight.
John.
Go ahead, John.
I have to. Is it some sort of, one of them? Oh, I can't say it like that. Like a Pokemon battle card game thing.
No, you cannot answer like that.
Something of the battle card variety. Is that a thing even? Okay.
Yeah, that's the thing.
There you go. Battle
Okay,
card
you
game.
all got it wrong. So I'm going to read now the supplemental data, and
dang it, there was more.
because you all got it wrong. Now you can all chime in again. Here we go.
Oh,
For a point or no point?
Yeah, for a point.
I should have just shut my mouth.
you really should have.
Oh, Joe, I file a Nixian protest.
Oh, and Nixian Pro. That's right, because you actually do know the answer. That's right. The release date for said game, November 16th. This is the US release date. November 16th, 2009. The platform for this game, the Nintendo Wii. That was already said. Okay, we're moving on. Pokemon Rumble. No points.
Rumble.
Pokemon, I didn't
I
say
knew
that.
it was some dumb, like, it was Pokemon. It wasn't like a mainline, but Rumble.
no.
That's what I thought
here we go.
Stadium, but I know Stadium's N64. Ah, damn it.
Here we
That's
go.
why I said it's a battle royale card type.
Yeah,
game.
but that's not the answer.
Okay, all right, fair enough.
Okay, here we go. Redacted has received some sweet enhancements and a new title. Redacted. In this free-to-start puzzle game, you'll befriend Pokemon and complete puzzles to create... John, go ahead.
Is it? I forget the name. Pokemon Shuffle.
John, you are out for this round, sir.
Oh, son of a! Did I just make that up? Okay, go ahead.
In this free-to-start puzzle game, you'll befriend Pokemon and complete puzzles to create
Awesome.
wonderful...
Pokemon Puzzle League.
You are out for this round. To create wonderful drinks and dishes to serve at your Redacted.
Oh, god damn it.
Donovan again.
Is this Pokemon Cafe?
Yeah.
Incorrect.
What?
Yeah,
Wait a second.
You're thinking the actual Pokemon Cafe. Oh wait, we could keep going.
We
Now
can
we
keep
can all.
going now.
We should wait for Joe to give us more info, though, right?
Solve puzzles by linking matching Pokemon icons to clear them from the screen. Each puzzle has a set of objectives, so think carefully before making your move. Joe is interjecting here. I am scrutinizing the name you say with high scrutiny.
Donovan,
Donovan, go ahead.
is it Pokemon Cafe Remix?
Ding, ding,
Ooh.
ding. Point goes to Donovan. That's 2 to 0 to 0.
Remix.
Okay. That good for you, Doc. I don't know what else to say. There's just too many. The problem here is there are so many variants Pokemon game names that I'm host.
I will
Even
also
Donovan
say-
got it wrong first, but then he just added mix to it and he got it right.
Now, see,
Yeah.
mix is a different game. Remix is what Donovan said and is the correct answer.
Oh, that's right.
Okay.
Okay.
They're raining now and after Pokemon.
Here we go. As the first full 3D Pokemon adventure, Redacted doesn't disappoint.
Okay.
See all.
Asif.
I heard Asif's mumbling first. I'll say. Go ahead, Asif.
Yep. Go.
Pokemon Legends Arceus.
You're out.
Oh, sorry.
It's not the 3D. There's other ones. I don't know what the hell 3D means.
See all your favorite Pokemon as they take their exploits onto the GameCube system.
Oh,
John.
Okay.
Is it Pokemon? Oh wait. Oh no. I thought that's a 64 game. Son of a man. Sorry. Pokemon Stadium. Dang it.
The land of Ore has been besieged by shady characters known as Team Snag'em, who have developed a way to steal Pokemon from other trainers. You must travel around the region and rescue stolen Pokemon from these nefarious gangsters. Not only that, but the Pokemon that have been stolen have been infected and have turned into shadow Pokemon. So, you'll need to cleanse them of their curse as well.
Donovan.
Okay.
Pokemon XD Gale of Darkness.
Incorrect.
Oh.
That sounds like Gale of Darkness.
this is for GameCube?
Release date, March 22nd, 2004 for the GameCube. I'll give you each 5 seconds. We're moving on.
And it's not Stadium. You didn't even say it was wrong.
I didn't even justify it.
You didn't even, oh.
I got nothing.
Donovan.
Donovan, your last chance. Go ahead.
I'll just say Pokemon XD.
Incorrect. This was the GameCube release entitled Pokemon Coliseum.
Son of a.
Stadium versus Coliseum.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You were on the right track, John. Oh,
yeah,
man.
judges.
I thought it was Stadium until you said it and didn't receive a response.
Yeah, didn't even get a response.
Damn. Well, at least Donovan didn't win yet.
That's
yeah,
right.
I'm filing a second
Sure.
protest.
Comeback starts here, John.
Here we
There
go. Redacted is an application and service that will allow you to deposit,
Donovan.
store.
Oh, God.
Donovan?
Pokemon Home.
Incorrect, sir.
Oh,
No!
Asif.
Asif.
Pokemon Bank.
Point to Asif.
Yeah.
Oh,
Bing?
come on. No,
Comeback
Come
starts
on.
here.
Pokemon Bank?
Pokemon Bank.
it had to be one or the other. It was a coin
know.
toss.
Joe, can we
Damn
pool
it.
points?
Yeah, you want to do 2v1?
Us two versus Donovan.
Just in case. Just in case. Okay, go ahead. Sorry, go ahead.
Just in case.
Yeah, we can do that.
Third protest.
I'm just glad I got one right.
Do I get half
Okay, here we
point
go.
for Pokemon Stadium. I think, was that how it worked? Did you say that, Joe?
Oh, that you got a point for stadium. Yeah,
Half a
I
point.
logged it. It's logged. Yeah.
Okay,
It's
thank
Here we
you.
go.
Thank
Oh,
you.
look at it. He didn't log it.
Redacted is the long-awaited follow-up to the 1999 Nintendo 64 release, Redacted. This new...
Asif.
Asif was there.
Pokemon Snap.
Incorrect, sir.
What?
Donovan.
Donovan.
New Pokemon Snap.
And our crown and victor is...
Ah,
I fucking got the. Oh, God. That's
I was going to
heartbreaking.
say like Pokemon Snap X or some
I-
BS.
love
I thought-
love those Nintendo naming conventions, baby. New Pokemon Snap.
All right, we are going to do
Congrats,
we're going to do a single next round. Donovan, you're out. This is going to be for second place.
But I'm already.
It's already
Second.
second place.
Okay, this is going to be for second and third place.
Okay.
If John
Okay.
can tie this next one, then we'll have to do yet another round. Here we go.
Okay.
But it's on Pokemon. Like if it were anything else. Okay, go ahead.
Asif, as established in the prior segment, is not a fan. So I think you're pretty much even.
Yeah,
footing
okay,
here.
that's fair enough. I thought it was going to be the actual Pokemon. Like, okay,
like
so
That would be,
characters,
you would be
yeah.
worse at that.
I beg to differ.
Donovan might be better, though. That's the concern.
Well, Donovan would. I mean, I'm assuming Donovan gets number one,
Here we go.
regardless.
On the surface, Redacted is a lot like Redacted and Redacted, in that the story takes place in Johto, and the adventure takes you down a familiar path. Okay?
Is it Pokemon Yellow?
Incorrect.
Hey.
But digging deeper, you'll see that Redacted has plenty of aspects that have revolutionized Pokemon games. Redacted is the first Pokemon game where you can choose to play either as a boy or girl. And
Awesome.
it's also, okay?
Gonna say Pokemon Sun and Moon?
Incorrect. Donovan, do you know it?
I believe this is Pokemon Crystal.
Correct.
Oh
Fourth
man,
point goes to Donovan.
Donovan with 4 points.
Well, John, you had your wild card there, and you failed to achieve it. That makes
Wait,
Donovan-
that's not a push.
No, because I got a point and you
I'll
didn't.
tell you. Hold on. Third protest being filed. Unprecedented third protest. More protesting the host of the game. But thank you, Joe. This was fun.
I like this. And we did it, John. If you're wondering why we chose Pokemon, folks at home too, it was Pokemon Day yesterday or the day before, right, Donovan? Was it the day before?
It's always Pokemon Day.
That was this week, February 27th.
No, this is like the actual anniversary of the release of their first game. So, you know,
Yeah,
it's not always. It can't always be their first anniversary. That's not even
I don't know about
possible.
any of this. What you're saying?
Okay, fine.
It's
Well,
all
is that what milestone is? 30?
I thought it was 28.
30 years of Pokemon.
No, it'll be 30 in 2027.
Yeah, it's because
Oh,
it's
okay.
28, 23
Or 26, 1996.
Yeah.
Okay.
Anyway,
Great.
Well, you know
Well-
what, guys? How about this question? Who was Mario named after? How did Mario get his name? Forget it.
I know.
Close it up. Close
It's a
up the
plumber.
shop. I know. I'm
Named
thinking
after
of
a plumber.
Get out of here. I'm done.
Okay.
I didn't know
Well,
that.
good news.
Oh, really? I just
We'll
picked
be
the-
right back with story time, so stay tuned. Welcome to story time. Let's dive into the latest stories from the past week. We got a vast array here. I'm going to kind of jump around. I want to start with the Apple news. Apple has reportedly canceled work on their electric car to refocus their team on a generative AI project instead. What are our thoughts on this? Did anyone really think we were getting an Apple car ever?
I thought we would, but
Right?
Yeah.
It seemed
You
like
know.
it.
It seemed like it, and I was like, "Oh, when it finally comes out, maybe my current car will need a trade up."
Mhm.
I really want to get away from Tesla as a brand, but
I
their
think it's.
supercharger network's just too good.
I think at this point, I actually said this in the chatty thread for this article. Apple was one of the only companies left on Earth that could actually compete with Tesla, because Tesla has this massive manufacturing advantage when it comes to cells, when it comes to packs, when it comes to the vehicles, the drivetrains. And like you said, they have the network for charging now, which they just opened up to Ford and a couple other manufacturers today.
Yeah.
You need hundreds of billions of dollars to build up the infrastructure to compete with Tesla. So that's why, in my opinion, we're not going to see Ford, we're not going to see GM or Toyota really compete with Tesla. It had to come from tech. And Apple, it's like, Apple's the leakiest company on earth now. They've been talking about this for 10 years? And I read somewhere that they invested like $8 to $10 billion on R&D for this to get nothing. Is really, really, I think, sad. I also think that if Johnny Ive and Steve Jobs are still at the company, this doesn't happen. They would have released the car. And to your point, John, like, you're trying to get off of Tesla, right? Like, Elon is, he's problematic as an owner of a company and as the face of that company. It's damaging the brand. So like, I was really disappointed by this news, because Apple really felt like the company that could have knocked down Tesla. And now I don't know who that is.
There's no real company. I think EVs have their own issue, right? Like there's a lot of antipathy. I think that's all tied to the charger network. Why am I going to buy a car like a non-Tesla EV and get completely boned by the infrastructure that we have? So I think like EVs are kind of not on pause, but I think there's definitely a stall for the next 5 years.
Well, something's
Apple's
going on here where you have like existing car companies can't make EVs at a profit, right? Ford has said it, GM has said it. A lot of companies are struggling to be profitable at making EVs. But to your first point, range anxiety is a thing. But if you work from home and you don't drive more than 200 miles a day, basically any electric vehicle, regardless of the brand, is going to work for you. If you're someone who commutes and you're stuck in traffic all day, I understand not wanting to do that. But
you never think about it that way, though. Like I think that's a very pragmatic, realistic approach. But I think that goes counter to American culture. Honestly, like I think it's the whole idea. It sounds corny, but it is like, you know, the open highway and all this stuff.
Freedom.
Yeah, freedom and whatever. And it's like that's why range anxiety exists. It's not for the day-to-day driving of it. It's really the opportunity to go wherever I want. And I think Tesla and Elon, you got to give the guy credit. The one thing he didn't invent the company, found the company, whatever. But, you know, one of the big things that he did was making sure that supercharger network was prevalent. And if you were anywhere in America, you were at least within driving distance of a supercharger.
Yep.
That's big, right? That opened up everything. That and the Roadster, I think, just looking good, right? The original Roadster, like EVs didn't have to look like a Prius. They could look, you know, really nice or really like a sports car. That you give him credit for, and then the whole supercharger thing. And I think the car companies like Ford and whomever, they really didn't understand. I don't know if they understood it, but that like range anxiety, that is, it only takes one time for you to get to a charger that doesn't work. Yeah. For you to be like, I will trade in my car today for a gas car. And I think that's what's happening here with a lot of the non-Tesla
I think
EVs.
it's just that they can't compete. They can't make a car at an affordable price that competes with Tesla. No one can do that.
To scale, because no, like if they had enough Ford F-150 Lightnings, that is sold out, right? As far as I understand, that's sold out at a $70,000 price tag. It's not a short price tag. It's just they can't make as much as
they're not
they can't
profitable,
make them fast enough.
But they're not profitable on each, like the trucks that are rolling off of their line for the Lightning, they're not making money on them. They're losing money. And GM, Bolt, they've been losing money. I think you're going to see a lot of these companies move back towards hybrid. But my whole point is that you have an infrastructure for legacy autos that build motor vehicles with engines, with combustion engines, right?
Sure.
And that's like the majority of the lines at Ford and at GM are that. Whereas when you look at Tesla, they don't have any legacy. It's only the stuff that makes them money that they build. So and you look at how much debt Ford has on their balance sheet, how many times GM has gone bankrupt in the last 100 years. They don't have the capital to compete. That's my concern. That's why I'm really disappointed in Apple here. Because instead of releasing a car that could compete with the Model Y here in the next few years, they sent out that headset that you had to return because it was $3,500 in the future of computing. When you're a $3 trillion or $2 trillion company, a $3,500 VR headset that you're probably not going to make money on isn't the answer. Entering the automobile industry would have been huge.
It would have been huge. I think it's very different though. The $3,500 headset is very different than a $120,000 car. There's no way that that's going to be cheaper than $120,000, $150,000. I don't think an Apple car is going to be anywhere
honestly,
close to
sell it for $200,000. Like the people
will buy it, just like they're buying that headset for $3,500.
Exactly.
Doesn't do anything.
Apple is a luxury brand. They could have gotten away with charging for more for the same thing. Right.
But it's all relative, is all I'm saying. Like $3,500 headset, spinning that up, the battery packs needed if you look at a phone compared to the headset extension, that extended battery, compared to like actual cells suitable to power a car, that's a whole different factory. Right? That's a whole different structure. But so I won't fault Apple. Like I'll fault Apple because I would love an Apple car. I'm a big Apple fanboy, right? I would love an Apple car. I actually think it's kind of prescient that they're seeing like they don't have a solution because nobody has a solution to EVs except Tesla, which started this maybe 10 plus years ago. And I think rather than go down this potential boondoggle, where it's tens of billions of dollars. Yeah, fine. It's been $10 billion. That's R&D. That's, shit happens, right? But like to make it $100 billion investment in a market that now is weakening. I don't know. I think Tim Cook is not a dumb
I'm going
guy.
to throw this out here, John, because you're right. It would have taken a lot of money. You know who has a lot of money? That fucking company. You know what they do with it instead? Buybacks. They have bought back over $250 billion of stock. For what? What did they get out of it? Jack shit. They could have bought Sony, Netflix, Tesla, and Nintendo and had another $100 billion sitting there.
I totally get it. I
You know
would
what I'm
love.
saying? Like the opportunity cost of the last decade of R&D for this car is that they like Apple TV Plus came out 10 years after Netflix streaming. And now they're going, oh, we're going to get into generative AI in 2024.
But to be fair, and I'm just saying,
It's
to
a
be
joke.
fair, Microsoft is a $3 trillion company
Yeah,
because of generative AI,
because they invested
not
in
because
AI.
they built a friggin' car, right?
No, but
And
they
I think
did it because they invested in generative AI, not in 2024. Apple taking a whole team of people and saying, yeah, you know what? You're not on the EV project anymore. You're on generative AI.
It's not on a new project, though. To be fair, it's not on a new project. You don't think Apple's been working on AI for several years?
I think they're light years behind everyone, John. Light
Oh,
years.
in release, yes. I think
No, in actual quality. They owned Siri for over a fucking decade, and that thing sucks. It has never improved.
you're not
Ever.
wrong, man. You're not wrong.
No, it pisses me off though, because we're sitting here watching this company with billions of dollars piss away their brand, and like we need an alternative to fucking Elon Musk and Tesla desperately, and it can't.
Well,
Based on
politically, you need a.
no,
That's
but
the thing.
like we
Politically,
have one
you
in
need an
China.
alternative to
Like
Tesla.
China has BYD, and it is a competitive electric vehicle in China. But the way the Inflation Reduction Act works, that car or the BYD cars are probably never going to show up in America because of the rules for manufacturing that are in place now. So it's like Apple loves being like, oh, we're trying to manufacture in America. I can't think of better PR than Apple actually building a factory in America to build a vehicle. Like that is worth money.
But it's
And
not worth. It's just not worth $100 billion. If you're going to make a bet, Asif, let me ask you: would you bet if you had that money? You're telling me that you would bet on a car as opposed to investing in generative AI, understanding that we're 100 years into the 130 years into the life of a car, right? I mean, you know what I'm saying?
This is the typical Apple ego, though, John. We can do it ourselves in-house better than anyone. No, you can't, motherfuckers. OpenAI, no, but OpenAI is a perfect example of that. They're way further ahead. And it's all about how many fucking training sessions you've done for these AIs before they get useful. There is no evidence that Apple has been training anything on the hardware that all these other companies are using because they have a terrible relationship.
All the other hardware, all those companies, I don't think that they have Apple's. You're wrong. You're gonna kick my ass about this, but their integrity, and I think Apple, in terms of privacy or whatever,
left at Apple.
No, hold on. Versus if you go to Amazon, Alexa, if you look at some of the stuff that they're doing in terms of, the listening, in terms of the privacy issues with Google, I think there's a lot of information that's being fed into those AI engines at those companies. I don't think Apple's doing that. I don't think their AI is going to be like awesome or whatever. I mean, like, there is this kind of balance that they do have to invest in and really figure out, how do we let AI into our houses with a bit of, a thought to the privacy of it and to the safety of it. And I think Apple actually is positioning itself politically as a company to really care about that aspect of computing more than these other companies. I think that's worth investing in. No. I'd love a car. Love a fucking flying car, a rocket ship.
Not a single company has shown me how they're going to monetize generative AI. Not one. And Facebook has shown us
all the layoffs. What's happening here? That's the news.
Facebook is showing us how to lose money. Facebook's like showing us how to lose money building VR headsets. 16 billion lost last year. Yeah. So the VR headset, I won't understand the entrance into Apple Vision Pro at this moment. But right now, there is a desperate need for a Tesla competitor. There has to.
Why is it desperate though? Like, look, and by the way, the Apple headset thing is a sandwich versus a steak. Like a headset at $3,500
versus a car at
$200,000.
The same decision makers who are greenlighting this headset while canning a 10-year project on autonomous driving, computer vision, and EV development. Like, these both have been projects that they were working on for a really long time. Yeah. Why did they think that headset was ready to ship? And why do they think it's not okay to make a car? Like,
it's risk
my whole point
reward.
is people.
It's steak versus sandwich. It's very small potatoes, the headset, compared to what I think would be a gigantic investment
Mhm.
in automotive. 10 billion. Like, who gives a shit at the end of the day? That 10 billion in R&D, fine, that's a waste. That sucks. They're moving over to AI because the market kind of shifted. I think EV is showing weakness. AI is showing strength. I wouldn't. I don't know what the decision making is. But I don't think it's a binary decision. They did headset, but they didn't do cars, and that's the same thing. Well, no, they're
No, but it's the
completely
same
different categories.
Same people
completely
making these
different investments.
decisions, man. Same people.
I know, I understand that, but same people, completely different numbers, completely different product sets. I get the idea for the want of a Tesla competitor. I don't like Tesla as a company, and I don't like their CEO, and it bothers me, right? As a
That's all I'm
consumer
saying
of
is
Tesla,
from a
I would
consumer
want,
standpoint,
yeah,
we need an alternative to Tesla for EVs, for
sure,
EV
it's just not going
adoption
to
to
be Apple.
continue. No, it won't. But if
Yeah,
not them, who? There's not enough companies in the world that can do this. Microsoft has the money to do it, but they're clearly all in on
yeah,
AI.
I know.
It's not even like a little bit. They are all in on AI. Google is just figuring out how to destroy their brand every day. I think they're
But like
lost.
Google stopped with their Waymo, didn't
They
they? Or
have the Waymo project. They have all these things that they've invested in that if you look at them, the sum of the parts could be an EV company, right? Amazon, with their investment in Rivian, maybe they're the ones, right? Maybe.
but not even, because Rivian can't make enough cars, and they keep dipping their
They need
forecasts.
these little EV companies, Lucid and Rivian and whatever, Fisker or whatever. They need a sugar daddy tech company with a lot of money on the balance sheet that can afford to ramp up production and subsidize it with their successful other businesses. That's the problem. There's like no auto
It's
company can do
yeah.
this, and no tech company wants to do this because the money's in AI right now. But Apple getting into AI in 2024 is just like Apple TV Plus, man. I don't, they are no longer a company that is leading. They're just looking
No,
around.
I'm not saying that they are. Don't get me wrong. They're not fiscally. They're not doing any of. I mean, from a consumer standpoint, I get what you're talking about. The Apple of old is dead. I think you and I are different there, where Steve Jobs died, Apple died then and there, and that's that, actually. And I hate saying it like it sounds shitty, callous, but how long has it been? 10, 15 years? 10 years?
It's been 13 years this October since
It's
Steve
been
died.
13 years. That company's gone
Mhm.
13 years ago, forever. And that's a wrap, right? And it sucks. And I remember we were in the way of Apple, and we saw, like, if Steve Jobs came out and said, I built a perpetual motion machine, we would believe it, right? We thought that it would be, the world would believe it. No, Apple's just another computer company, and they're
That's
going to do computer stuff.
And that is bad for a company with 40% gross margins, man.
No, they're not the number one company anymore, are they?
There's no way. I'm just saying that their decision making. Look, I have a lot of success investing in Apple in the past.
Sure.
All day yesterday, I'm like, am I about to short Apple? The answer is no, because I know how AI hype works. Apple's going to announce their AI bullshit in their phone either at WWDC or in September at their iPhone event, right? The stock will go up on that news. Fade that move. I'm going to even call out a number. You want to hear a share price call by me? Apple will peak at 231 per share sometime this year. I'm going to just say it. It's at 180 right now.
I mean, look at the bump that happened when they canceled the motor vehicle
You know what's
project.
funny about that, though, John? Go
'Cause it
look
was
at how
the AI.
many times Bloomberg has run a fucking story about an Apple car and how many times the stock went up on that news. There's so much already in this share price right now that were built on the expectations of an automobile. That's
Yeah.
the problem here. Is
Yeah.
you can't go up on both the rumor of the car and the rumor of the cancellation. One of these things is wrong, is what I'm getting at. And if you're a company where most of your money comes from iPhone and then everything else, and iPhone sales are slowing or not even growing at
Yeah.
times, it's a problem. It's an argument I had at the shareholder meeting with Tim Cook. You're going to buy earnings per share growth with your stupid buyback, but at the end of the day, you need to grow revenue by entering new spaces. And they are not doing that rapidly. And they're the second largest company in the world. And now they're doing something that Microsoft is ahead of them on. It's just very
I know.
different. It's a very different company.
I'm just not shocked.
No, me neither.
I'm not
Tim
surprised.
Cook removed mic stands from the shareholder meeting because of me. Nothing he does surprises me.
Right.
He's managing the stock. Steve Jobs managed the company. That's the difference.
It's a big difference, yeah.
But yeah,
that
we can move
started
on.
13 years ago. Yeah.
I think this is a terrible, terrible, terrible news story for the future of electric vehicles and just adoption of electric vehicles and the pace at which they're adopted.
There are bigger problems with EV adoption. You solve the charging issue. You solve a lot of the antipathy or the hesitation that the American consumer has with EVs. They're too expensive. Fine, the companies aren't making money and blah, blah, blah. But it's too expensive for the average consumer to worry about whether or not they could get to their destination, even if they don't go but to work or to ShopRite or whatever. It's that idea of, can I go to that trip, 2 states over? And if I'm driving a Ford, remember the Ford CEO took one of them, the electric Mustangs, I think from Vegas to San Fran or LA to San Francisco.
Mm-hmm.
And it's usually like an 8-hour trip or something. And it became like a 14-hour trip. And he's like, this was terrible. It was actually a bad PR story. This was maybe 3-4 months ago, 5 months. And that's exactly it. That kind of thing. That's what's hesitating EVs, I think. But anyway,
I disagree. There's a lot of people who don't do road trips at all. There's multiple cars at a family's home a lot of the time. There's
my brother-in-law, tell that to any American who has those big.
I get it. You want the optionality.
Shit that's not there,
You want the optionality. But I'm saying that, we're going to move on because I think this is a larger conversation about EVs that we can have down the road. Just gonna hit some more news stories real quick, and then we'll move on to some things I want to talk to Donovan about. Nintendo is suing the creators of Switch emulator Yuzu for circumventing the encryption on Switch games. They claim that they hacked Mario Kart 8 Deluxe and Tears of the Kingdom. In this lawsuit, Nintendo also claims that Tears of the Kingdom was downloaded 1 million times before the game launched illegally. That's like $70 million of revenue lost. And then you have to factor in how many people were capturing gameplay and leaking stories and how that affected the sales. We talked about sales, I think, a few episodes ago of Tears of the Kingdom. And internally at Nintendo, they were viewed as disappointing, right? I think Nintendo is very upset about the hacking, these ROM leaks that are occurring. It's happened, I think, like 4 times to them in the last year. They're getting litigious. The right to emulate a game, it has already been proven in court, right? So this is about the monetization of hacking and the monetization of allowing hacked material to work. The work done to let the ROM run on their emulator, I think, is what's going to be the focus here. Nintendo's back on that whole "we're going to sue you to oblivion" BS, and the creators of Yuzu, I'm sure they can't afford to pay Nintendo $70 million or whatever that will be.
If there was anything to signal the coming console, it's this.
Yeah.
You would think that they're going to find the worst DRM possible to put in this next Switch. That may be why it isn't out yet. And maybe that's why they've pulled back from a first-party standpoint supporting Switch, right? Because they just saw their flagpole 10-post game get completely hosed.
It's just becomes more prevalent the longer a console life cycle goes on, right? Like the Switch is 7 years old now. People last year, if you didn't own a Switch yet by May 2023, you probably weren't buying one. The other ones were around the corner. There's a reason Breath of the Wild wasn't pirated to that rate, because one, the Switch was new, people couldn't pirate it. And everybody was buying Switches. Like to what Joe said, one of the many flags that this console is sunsetting soon, but of course Nintendo's not going to let them off the hook with any of that. So
no, and I'm sure that they're pretty pissed off internally about everything that happened last year. It was Mario Wonders ROM got leaked early. I believe the Mario movie was leaked online digitally before it was out of theaters. So they've had a lot of stuff, not just gaming related, but IP related, that I think is pissing them off. Something to keep an eye on. We don't know where it's going yet, but it could set precedent. Wanted to bring people's attention to it. And just beware. The Nintendo ninjas are everywhere, and they will find you, and they will make you pay them. Speaking of getting paid, Uma won Capcom Cup 10 and $1 million. John, you can make $1 million from playing Street Fighter 6. How awesome!
I'm there, baby.
How awesome is this? Like,
I'm
there's
training.
so much bad news in video gaming lately. Uma winning Capcom Cup. Guess what? Dude isn't even sponsored. Doesn't even have like, you know, he was just wearing an anime hoodie. He had no jersey, nothing. Love it. And also, this was a tournament where a lot of Lukes made it up in the ranks. So to see a Jury or Yuri win was like a huge thing because everyone was worried we were going to get Lukes in the grand finals, like a mirror match or something. But yeah, love stories like this. Congratulations to Uma. Can you imagine $1 million from one tournament? That's
nice.
Awesome.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Awesome.
Slasher had a tweet that I think it kind of sums up my feelings on this as well, where he just said, an unsponsored Street Fighter player winning $1 million in the World Championship while wearing his favorite VTuber anime hoodie is the difference between the FGC and esports.
Mm-hmm.
Which, yeah, it's a league of its own. The hype around the fighting games, the money that these companies put into it. I mean, hats off to Capcom for even throwing that up there.
Not Shacknews Fighting Game of the Year 2023.
No, I mean, I'd still prefer to play Mortal Kombat.
Yeah, it was my fighting game of the year because they do stuff like this, which is pretty cool for the fighting game community. Just saying, $1 million for a tournament, and then you can't even get Nintendo to spit in your eye for a Smash tournament. Which is, by the way, the best-selling fighting game of all time, Smash Ultimate. Not $1 have they donated to any prize pools. I just think it's an interesting dichotomy there. So yeah, Donovan, let's talk about it, man. You reviewed Skull and Bones for Shacknews.
God.
I did it for Shacknews. I sat down with Ubisoft's quadruple A pirate game and I wrote my thoughts. It's an interesting one because long ago when I was an intern for Shacknews at E3 2017, me and Greg Burke, who was on this show last week, we went to a little Ubisoft, I believe it was like an office that they had rented out. We played Skull and Bones, or a build of it. 7 years ago, and that of course was not at all the game that they released this month. Completely different video game. I believe back then it was more of like it was really just all ship combat. I don't think there was any feet on the ground elements to the game at that point. There sure is a lot of it in the final product, and Skull and Bones. Really, to sum it up, it just feels like a game that would have come out in 2014. It feels. Somehow it feels more dated than Assassin's Creed 4 Black Flag, which is the game that inspired it.
Yeah.
It's very boring. The ship combat is very like decent and passable, but nothing unique. They don't push that. Despite that being the main combat mechanic in the game, there's nothing unique or engaging about it. Again, I would argue that Assassin's Creed 4 had better ship combat because at least in that game, when you boarded a ship, you walked away from the steering wheel, you jumped onto the other ship, and you could like individually kill crew members and the captain and then take whatever you wanted and then leave. You know what happens when you board a ship in Skull and Bones? I hit the R button on my keyboard when I was parallel to another ship. I just watched the cutscene where my crew members jumped on, killed a bunch of their crew members. Then I got a loot inventory screen where I got to pick what items I wanted to take from the ship. And then we just went back to sailing. It's just so unengaging and boring. And then every time that game makes you go on the land, which does a good amount because that's where like your hubs are. That's where you'll buy resources to build cannonballs or random improvements to your hull. It's awful. The camera, the controls are super clunky. It feels like, again, like a Ubisoft game from the late Xbox 360 era. It's you load in and out of everything. When you disembark, screen goes black, you load. You hit the E button to talk to somebody, screen goes black, you load. You go into or out of any building on dry land, you're loading into it, out of it, exploring a shipwreck. It just does not feel like a modern game, let alone a quadruple A game. Which Yves Gilmour had the gall to call it. Not to mention, it's a $70 game that still has the battle pass with premium items, and there's a bunch of cool cosmetics you can get for your ship, but you have to buy the premium currency. There's no other way to get it to acquire all the cool looking stuff unless you just want to pick from one pattern. It's a mess.
I want to say something about this game, and it's just been a theory I've had. I believe this was the NFT game that Ubisoft was working on. Because
Skull and Bones.
what you just said about having this other currency
Yeah,
that you
makes
have to.
sense.
I could see that this was that game, and I will say this is tinfoil hat, whatever. If you looked at the source code, like the HTML code for the GameStop NFT marketplace, there was an Easter egg that was ASCII art Skull and Bones.
Mhm.
It was just ASCII art. It was a Skull and Bones, and underneath it said Skull and Bones. So a lot of people thought this was the NFT game that Ubisoft was working on. And everything you're saying kind of sounds like a crappy NFT game to me. So I would not be surprised if that's what this was. They'll never admit it, but I've kind of heard rumblings that was the case. So you said you gave it a 5 out of 10.
I did, yes.
Because it's bad and they should feel bad.
Mhm.
Monotonous gameplay loop, mechanically underwhelming, instantly feels dated, hollow live service elements, land segments are painful enough to get through. But like,
Yeah.
I was gonna ask you, like, you've played a decent amount of Sea of Thieves, right?
Yeah, yeah.
The freedom that you have in Sea of Thieves to just put yourself inside of a cannon and shoot yourself somewhere, that doesn't exist in this, right?
No, and well, I mean, Sea of Thieves isn't an amazing game either, but at least it has that charm, right? Like you can do something silly like that. I mean, that alone is at least half an hour of screwing around at a dock with your friends. There's just nothing like that in Skull and Bones.
That's what I was curious about, because like pirate games need to have some element of fun to them, and like you know how you can play music in Sea of Thieves. Like it just seems like any chance that you could give the player freedom in Skull and Bones, they didn't, and I hate that. Like that just seems bad. I can't. I installed this. It's sitting on my hard drive, and I can't bring myself to start it. Every time I should try this. I was like, I'm on a podcast. I'm going to be talking to someone who reviewed it. I should try this. I read your review, and I've watched some streams of it, and I'm like, I can't. I only have a certain amount of time left on Earth, and I don't think Skull and Bones is the place I should waste it.
I would not say it is, you know. And I should point out, like, a couple of things I did like about the game. I think that Ubisoft is consistently very good in their world building, especially like when it comes to depicting cultures. Because I believe you're in like a fictionalized version of the Indian Ocean, like late 17th century. So you're East, like African regions and whatnot. And there's a very diverse cast of characters. I was impressed that the first island I went to, it wasn't like a bunch of like white dudes with eye patches. Like you can tell that they take care into putting the right people in front of the camera in these games. Obviously, the Assassin's Creed games have done that very well for years. So that's something they do pretty well there. Although the sound design was good. Just, I think, from the opening sequence where you get shipwrecked, and I think the entire time you're creating your character, you can just hear cannons flying overhead, and you can hear the waves crashing because you're stranded at a beach and whatnot. You can hear like the wood creaking as people move around on ships. Like there's good detail there. You can tell that there was some sort of craftsmanship on that level. But
have you seen the donkey? Have you seen the donkey video on it?
I have not. No, I imagine he rips this game to shreds though.
He does. But he's also, you know, he's got a sense of humor about it.
Yeah.
Why does your ship have stamina?
It's a great question. You know, I guess I assume it's I assume it's the crew stamina because you don't really paddle a ship, but I guess you're like, I don't know, are they doing like some extra?
Isn't it wind? Is it wind blowing your sails? Like just a stamina bar for a ship. Look, I can't talk much. I'm playing a game where I play solitaire and it's horse racing, but like stamina for a pirate ship just seems kind of strange to me. But this is going to be the last time we mention Skull and Bones on this podcast because, like I said, there's only a certain amount of time left that we all have on Earth. Let's just this game came out. Let's just put it on the side and forget about it. You know what? I'm going to guarantee this game is going to cost less than $10 by Black Friday. So hold off until November if you really want this, or it's got Game Pass written all over it, right?
Yeah, but even if I'm Xbox, I don't know if I even want this on like the here's your Game Pass games of the month graphic that they love to push out on the first day of the month. I don't even know if I want it up there.
It'll be a PS Plus game then. But,
there you go. That makes a bit more sense.
But yeah, this is another 5 out of 10 at Shacknews. So we don't just give out 10s. Sometimes we give out 5s when they really stink. So yeah, one last story. It's more of a feature than a story, but I think it was your take that I just wanted to kind of talk about. We talked about Pokemon earlier in the show.
Yes.
But you wrote a feature earlier this week on Pokemon Day saying Pokemon taking 2024 off is the right move.
Yes.
So you're talking about the mainline games, right? And the announcement that Legends Z-A is going to be coming out next year in 2025, right?
Yeah, I'm talking about the big budget games. I don't think that there will ever be a year for the rest of my life where there isn't a Pokemon something coming out. Because even this year they have like the mobile trading card game spin-off thing. Like there's always going to be a thing. But like as far as the mainline stuff, the major spin-offs, 2024 will be the first year without a major Pokemon release or DLC release since 2015, which was the year before we got Sun and Moon. And yeah, I think that just the Pokemon franchise has been so oversaturated over the last like half decade, obviously capitalizing on the success of Switch. There was like a year and a half after the Switch came out where we were all like, how is there no Pokemon game on this thing right now? And then the monkey, the finger on the monkey's paw curled, and we got Sword and Shield and Brilliant Diamond, Shining Pearl, Legends Arceus, Scarlet Violet. Now that game's got DLC. Sword and Shield had DLC. And I mean, the quality is just not there, right? Like you could argue the Pokemon games were never all that impressive graphically or mechanically, but I think that issue became so much more apparent with the jump to 3D and the jump to open world, and Scarlet and Violet being like uncomfortable to look at because of how bad it runs,
and even buggy at times. Like it's not just it looks bad. No, it was like legitimate bugs all over that game, where just it felt, even by Pokemon standards, it felt very unpolished.
I mean, Game Freak acknowledged it, or Game Freak or Nintendo. I guess Game Freak would be the one publishing the patch notes, but like the company that infamously does not say shit because people crap on every Pokemon release, but the pushback to Scarlet and Violet was enough that even in the patch notes they had to be like, we understand their issues, blah blah blah, we're doing our best to make sure that future games hit a higher standard, yada yada. And it's definitely corporate jargon, but I think that's there not being a Pokemon game this year is just like objectively good. It's like that franchise just not dying for a new entry right now.
It's also like a break from their tradition though, because they love stuffing the back end of console cycles and handheld cycles with games because it's all about addressable market to them, right?
Yeah.
I saw a lot of people were obsessed with this one sentence from the Pokemon Presents live stream this week where they're like simultaneously launching on Nintendo Switch systems. Now, is Legends Z and Legends A, are those going to be two different games? Because that would make sense from a simultaneously, right, perspective.
It is one game. The title is just stupid. It's Legends : and it's Z-A, like Z to A.
Okay.
Or ZA, I guess would be the official pronunciation of it.
So if that's the case, what the hell are they talking about with simultaneously, Donovan?
That is a great question, because when I first read it, I thought they meant like international, but Pokemon games have released simultaneously internationally since X and Y in 2013. So I don't know. I mean, my tinfoil hat theory is that they're just holding this game for Switch 2.
Yeah.
I think that's the report was that the Switch 2 was aiming for late 2024, slipped to early 2025. I bet you that if the Switch 2 was coming out in November, Pokemon Legends would have been right there with it. I think that they know. Not that I don't want to say that they couldn't survive another Scarlet Violet release. They could survive a dozen more of them, but I don't think they want one. I don't think they want this game to come out and it's just another. Why is that thing moving at 10 FPS until I get 5 feet away from it? I think that they're just holding this one.
To be fair, the
hardware's next.
The last Legends game was good, so maybe it's like Legends they have like a little bit more of a reverence for than they do their mainline series.
So I will say that Legends was kind of able to fly under the radar because it was like fakey open world where it was like a hub and then you would go to like different safari like zones.
Sure.
And even then there was like an FPS issue, but there's an interesting note about this game that they mentioned in the press release I think it was a Nintendo of America tweet, that the game is taking place entirely within Lumio City, which is the Paris equivalent in Pokemon X and Y. It's a stage in Super Smash Brothers. You got the massive tower in the center. It's a massive like circle-shaped city. And I saw people panicking about that because obviously people are thinking of the 3DS city that you could run through in 15 seconds. Obviously, this will be a much more fleshed out experience. But I'm curious to see how that impacts the game Just
I
technically.
saw some people were hoping that, I'm a big Detective Pikachu film and game fan, but like they're hoping that maybe this city is going to be like Rhyme City, where there's just going to be like Pokemon just kind of chilling out there and like drinking their coffee and stuff.
Yeah, it have to be, right? Because if you're going to be catching wild Pokemon, but it also takes place entirely within a city, that kind of contradicts the way that franchise has always operated.
I'm interested to see where this goes. And I do think that when they said simultaneously, they are implying Nintendo and Super Nintendo Switch. They just weren't allowed to say it.
Yeah. I think this is going to come out on both Switches. It'll probably run like ass
better
on the old Switch, and
it'll support DLSS and, maybe some other shit. But it did look, the hype trailer looked pretty cool. And Legends Arceus was actually one of their better games. So we'll see what happens. But I thought that was a pretty neat. I liked the take, and I tend to agree with it. And it is like such a break from the grind that they have been on. Basically, you point out that first year with Switch, maybe not, but every year after that, it was just like we're getting 2 mainlines or a remake of a mainline. I still think we're gonna get like a Let's Go this fall. It just seems like the kind of year that I don't know. Yeah, but like they did Let's Go Eevee and Let's Go Pikachu, right? Maybe like Charmander. I don't know. We'll see. But they could do something on that front. They could, I don't know. There's so many random things that they're doing, and you kind of glossed over the trading card game thing. That seems pretty big.
It does. I'm actually looking forward to that.
Yeah, if you guys didn't see the news, they announced a Pokemon the trading card game Pocket for mobile devices. It's not, you're not scanning in your existing Pokemon cards. They're digital cards. You can open 2 packs for free per day, which means that there's going to be some sort of microtransaction hell that's going to live there.
Yeah.
But yeah, like a mobile version of the Pokemon trading card game. Kind of feels like Marvel Snap in a lot of ways. Something to keep an eye on for sure. And I think they said it's coming out this year, right?
They did, yes.
Yeah, so they have stuff that's coming out. But yeah, like we've talked about on past episodes, the Nintendo Switch is certainly at its end of the cycle, and we're not going to see many more games come to it. So you have to celebrate them when they do, and also just kind of, I don't want to say it, but golf clap for the Tegra X1 chip for still running all these years later. There it is. So yeah, those were the news hits that we wanted to hit today. I will just point out, like, because there's actual good news. Saber Interactive is going private, buying themselves from Embracer Group for $500 million. So that's cool. And Toys for Bob announced that they're going indie. So they may not be a Microsoft subsidiary for long. They're talking about maybe working with Microsoft from a publishing perspective going forward. But we had some bad news over at Toys for Bob. Now we have some apparent good news over at Toys for Bob. So I thought those were two nice stories in a week full of bad stories. So yeah, shout out. I'm excited for Saber because I believe they own the Duke Nukem IP, and I desperately want someone to do something with that IP. So we'll see what happens on that front. But yeah, those are 2 other news hits that I saw today. And then, we just have so much Final Fantasy VII content on the site, you guys. So even just like on our YouTube channel, we have some fun videos. Greg, there's like a water sport mini game in FF7 Rebirth. So Greg put it like to the Wave Race 64 theme. So it's pretty fun. Obviously, a lot of guide content, both on editorial side and on the video side for you guys to check out too. But Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. That's your whole weekend, Joe? Is that the plan?
Well, I doubt it, if I'm honest, but I'm gonna try for sure.
I'm gonna play it, and I'm gonna play it for one reason. I want to play the Star Fox mini game as Gold Saucer.
Yeah, that got you, huh?
I was like, yep, that's it. I don't really, it's like how Sega Bass Fishing got me for Like a Dragon. I'm like, I'm in. I'm like, why? Sega Bass Fishing. You're like, what?
Sure.
I'm in. I'm into Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. Oh, because you like the story? No, I just want to play a Star Fox game in 2024. So, although there is an indie game called Whisker Squadron out there. It's like a roguelike that is a Star Fox like, and it's on Steam if you want to check that out. But yeah, I'm gonna try that. I'm gonna keep playing F-099, and I'll be back with another update next week, probably, right? But yeah, are we done? Is that the show?
That's the
Pretty
show.
good? Pretty good show. Oh, not bad.
Not bad. Little Apple-y, little
Look,
EVE, but
yeah. Look, we both own electric vehicles.
we want more. We want more Yakuza and Like a Dragon next time, and FF. I'm actually curious about FF. So yeah, hopefully next show we learn more about how people are digging into Rebirth.
Yeah, Rebirth. That's going to be a big chunky game that I think is going to be discussed for most of the year. It seems like there's just a lot more to do in it than the remake. So yeah, gonna try to jump on that. But yeah, that's gonna do it for today's show. Subscribe on your podcast app of choice, and we're on YouTube now, guys. So that's pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
We're gonna be in the top 50 podcasts for gaming podcasts in Canada. Like we're gonna crack into that top 50. I just feel it. So yeah, you can subscribe to our YouTube channel. It's just Shacknews on YouTube. We have a Shack Together playlist there. So I think episode 3 and on will be there. But yeah, also just go to shacknews.com for all your news, reviews, previews, features like Donovan's feature on Pokemon. We have 2 YouTube channels, Shack News on YouTube, Shack News interviews on YouTube as well. We're on TikTok at Shack News. So real quick, brainstorming session, guys. I've been doing a weekly video for Destiny 2 called Where Does At, and we have been using DMX music every week it's been like a year, right, Donovan? Like about a year.
Yeah, got to be somewhere around there.
Universal Music Group has a dispute with TikTok right now. You can't use any of their music in anything. What should we do with Where Does At? Should I just be singing DMX songs, or
Definitely that one.
That's the only way to do it.
okay?
Yeah.
So I'm going to start singing DMX songs. I'm going to have to be very careful because my man uses a lot of very strong language. And it's like one thing that I've realized over the last year of using DMX music in my videos, he was saying some really offensive shit in the 90s that would not play. But then at the same time, he was like, there's some very uplifting songs. But anyway, this may wrap up the whole era of Where Does At, unless I just start singing DMX songs poorly, which I guess is the solution here. So yeah, we're on TikTok, so stay tuned there. We're on Facebook at Shack News. That's actually our largest platform. And John, you know how much I hate Facebook. Isn't that hilarious?
It's ironic.
It is. It's beyond ironic. I just think it's just absurd. But yeah, Facebook. Everyone loves us on Facebook. Go over there. It's great. Our Facebook's fantastic. If you just want to see trailers, breaking news and stuff, very good for that. So weird. Oh yeah, we're on the Twitter, currently known as X. Us a like sometime. We'd just love to see that you saw our tweet. But yeah, Shack News is on Twitter still. Let's see, where else can you find us? Yeah, there's Shack Pets. You can just, if you click the little paw link on our website, it'll take you to the latest pets feed, so you can just see the latest updated images there. We're also working on an update for it. And then, yeah, Bubbletron.com, our latest game that we launched. It's a separate website from Shack News, but it is a Shack News property. You can support us there. You can also support us on shacknews.com if you subscribe to Mercury. It's kind of like our Patreon. For as little as $1 a month, you can help support us. And that would be greatly appreciated by our staff and me. Because I think those are all the shout outs that you would need. Oh yeah, we're on Instagram for Shack News Media there because somebody forgot the password for Shack News. And yeah, those are the places to find us. You'll find vertical videos on all those places because vertical video is my passion. Production of vertical video. But yeah, that's all. That's the show. Thanks, Donovan. Happy to have you back on the Shack News podcast. It's been
Congrats on the win.
Thank you.
Also, Pokemon champion.
Yeah, you are. I knew this. I told Joe. I was like, look, Joe's like, how well do you know Pokemon? I'm like, I've been covering this series for like 10 years. I know a little bit about it, but Donovan's like a freaking expert. So I was like, he's gonna kick my ass in this game. I'm just glad I put up a point against you, Donovan.
I'm glad I put up half a point.
It would have been closer if I said new Pokemon Snap. For some reason I thought they just called it Pokemon Snap. But yeah.
I mean, Coliseum and Stadium and
I know, right?
Arena.
I know.
Synonyms.
That era too. that was a weird era for Pokemon where they were like, we need to figure out something here. And then years later, we got that, what's the MOBA called, Donovan?
Unite.
Yeah, that's actually, I feel like a lot of those games were building up to what we got with Unite. But yeah, great. I hope everyone had a great Pokemon day and a great Final Fantasy VII Rebirth launch weekend. And yeah, stay tuned. We'll be back next week with another episode of Shack Together.
Awesome.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.
See ya.